Hello, and welcome to Veronica's Voice, the podcast for cycle breakers and legacy makers, where we keep it real, raw, and authentic.
So today I feel compelled to share about the dragon song. Something really struck me yesterday in my core about the dragon song, which I wanted to share with you today. So recently, like over the past few months, I've had multiple people compliment me in essence or make observations in a complimentary fashion about things that I do that didn't feel like they needed to be complimented, like they just felt like they were part of my nature. And also, I'm going to share 3 instances, and they all had a similar theme. So one was I went to an event, a business event, where it came up somewhat spontaneously. I was invited by a colleague. I didn't know the facilitator, and I met with him briefly via Zoom ahead of time and thought it was a good fit and decided to go. And it was a small event, kind of workshop style, so we worked closely together with each other. And all the other people in the room, all the other people at the event had worked with the facilitator in the past. So many of them knew each other, and at a minimum, they all knew him and were familiar with his work. And he commented multiple times to me how courageous it was that I came to the event when I didn't know him and I didn't know his work. And I graciously received the compliment, and also I didn't feel like it was courageous. And I'm going to explain why I didn't feel courageous, which is the whole connection to the dragon song and the message that I really want to share and hope that you walk away with from today. So then another instance occurred when if you follow Phoenix Burning, you know that I invested in working with a healing practitioner, a healing guide, similar thing. I had just met him, and I was not familiar with his work. His work is difficult to explain. So even browsing his website and doing a Zoom call with him, I still didn't have a clear understanding of what it was, how it is that he worked with people. But nevertheless, I invested in 5 days of working with him one-on-one in an intense deep dive kind of situation. And it was a very large investment for me. So it was a big, didn't feel like a risk, but it was a big step for me to invest this amount of money, and especially in someone with whom I was not familiar. Similarly, he commented to me on a follow-up call. He didn't use the word courageous. I can't remember his exact wording, but he commended me for making that decision to work with him when I wasn't familiar with his work. And then a third situation happened. As you know, as I just shared, I recently moved to Tucson. It was a big move, closed out a 26-year era in California. 2 of my kids still live in California. One of my kids lives here. So anyways, it was a big decision and all the things. And one of my clients realized I had shared on Facebook that I had moved. And so during a session, she commented about my move to Tucson and said, that is so inspiring. Inspiring was the word that she used. And that one really struck me because it didn't occur to me that it was inspiring. And these 3 situations and compliments, if you will, that these people gave me happened over the past few months in a relatively short period of time. So it really brought it to my attention. And I was like, this doesn't feel courageous to me or inspiring or anything worthy of note. And why is that? There's a lot of reasons why that is. But the one that I specifically want to share today is that in each of those situations, I was listening to my inner knowing. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt that each of these things, respectively, was what I needed to do, was being called to do. And when I felt that inner knowing, it didn't feel courageous or anything like that because I simply knew that I was meant to do it. And if I'm meant to do something, then it's the right thing to do. There's nothing to fear. It simply is. It's like trust. It's like, to me, in these situations, it's like complimenting somebody for trusting gravity. Like, gravity is a thing. Or the thing that we call gravity is a thing, whatever it may be, right? But you can trust in it. You can trust that if you're trying to reach an apple at the top of a tree and you shake it loose, that apple is going to fall. And you would never, well, maybe you would, but you probably wouldn't say to somebody, wow, like, I'm so impressed that you were courageous enough to trust gravity to allow that apple to fall. Perhaps you might say you were intelligent enough to shake the tree knowing that gravity would cause it to fall. So perhaps that's where the compliment lies, right? It's the knowing, and that's actually what I want to talk about today. It's the knowing that gravity exists, therefore you are going to shake the tree to allow the apple to fall. And that's what I felt I experienced in each of these situations, was that I knew that I needed to do each of these things. Each of these things were life-changing and set me on a certain path that I believe I'm meant to be on. And so it was, I could see that. I trusted in the gravity of it. I trusted in gravity, trusted in the inner knowing, and made the decision to act on it, which would be the shaking of the tree, right? And so what is that inner knowing, that deep wisdom? So one of the reasons that this really struck me is because, like many people, I also have a voice inside of me that's I don't know how, I can't. Those are the two that come up the most for me. There may be other things. There may be elements of fear, lack of trust, all those kinds of things. And I started looking back. I was actually contemplating not these compliments when this realization came to me. I was contemplating the part of me that says, I don't know how. I can't. I'm not enough. And I look back at my life and realize that all the times that I listened to my inner knowing, things unfolded beautifully and magically. And it was the times that I gave my power away. It was the times that I said to myself, I don't know how, and therefore I'm going to trust somebody else. And I often placed my trust in people who were not trustworthy. There are times when we do place our trust in other people to support us, yes. But I gave away the decision-making to other people. I allowed myself, for much of my life, I didn't even give my decision-making away to other people. I just got chills. I gave my decision-making away to the universe, in the sense of, I'm just going to let the universe carry me wherever it will, without engaging with it. So there's the co-creation aspect. Yes, we all want to be in flow. We want to be in flow with the universe. But when it's passive, and you're simply allowing life to happen to you, rather than being a co-creator with it, that's when you're giving your power away. And it struck me very deeply that, of course, I know how, because I've proven it to myself over and over again when I have listened to my inner knowing, my inner self, my deep core self, my essence, my divine essence, whatever you want to call it, that part deep inside of me that is the essence of the universe, knows. And all I have to do, I'm saying that facetiously because we all know that it takes some practice to relearn how to listen to that inner knowing. But all I need to do is be deeply connected with that core self and listen to that inner knowing and act on it. And when I do that, I know how. And ultimately, that is the dragon song. The dragon song is the song that is calling all of us right now back to the ancient wisdom, the way that we were intended to be, to understand the beings that we are, to stop giving our power away, whether it's to the universe and I'm just in flow, whether it's to spirituality, whether it's to a doctor, whether it's to any system that is telling you how to do something. In business, it can be marketing. There's a lot of models in business about what you have to do to be successful. Any model that is telling you how to do something, what to do, what to believe, that is contrary to, well, first of all, that takes your power away from your own decision making and is contrary to your inner knowing. You have the knowledge within yourself to create exactly what it is that you want in this life. And the key is to listen to it.
Thank you for joining me on Veronika's Voice. If you took something away from today's episode, remember to like, share, and subscribe so others can benefit as well. See you next time.